I'm Rick Lewis with Phenon Hoop Report, and on today's Coaching Corner, I have Steve Jones from Thomas Jefferson High School and also Pro Skills 16 Under Travel Ball Team. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Coach.
Coach, you have an interesting story because you've only been in coaching a very short period of time, but you've had tremendous success at an early age. You said you were born and raised in Forest City. You attended East Rutherford High School. You graduated in 2011. That year, the team went 27-1 and won the state championship. Now, that year you were on the team, but you were injured. Talk about that.
Well, fate kind of plays out. I knew at an early age I wanted to go into coaching. And I think, God laid that path out right then and there. Being a part of a team that special, that good, was able to go into that year, and we had a really young team. We had, coming off a year before where we did really well, but lost a lot of key pieces. We had some young talent coming up. I think that year we started a freshman, a couple of sophomores, and being able to, your senior year of high school, you're not playing, but you're able to help out in a capacity in terms of trying to coach. And, I'll be honest with you, 17 years old, how helpful I was as coach, I don't know. That can be debated. But what a year that was. And, you have memories from that year, your senior year of high school. I don't think you could finish out the high school any better than that. I think you have to have some luck to win a state championship. We played some really good teams that year. And we certainly had luck on our side. So what a tremendous experience that was. And garnering off of that year and what I learned really helped propel me into the, where I'm at now in terms of coaching. So.
Now, Coach, you said that you knew early on that you wanted to be a coach, and you were a senior in high school. When did it finally hit you? At what age did you say, hey, I want to be a basketball coach at the high school level?
Yeah, well, parents at a young age said, listen, don't worry about money when you go into profession. Do something you want to do. And so, I really took that on. And for me, that was always basketball. And, you always have the worry of, okay, I'm not a high-level basketball player. Like, I'm not playing at the college level. I'm not playing at the pro level. Am I going to be able to have you start to wonder privately, are you going to be able to have that career as a coach without maybe that high-level playing experience on the resume? But I knew it was something I loved to do. And I knew it was something that I knew and that I had a passion to learn and grow through. Once I set my mind to it, that was something that I really, really hit at hard. And it's been, the last couple of years have been just a blessing, just one step after another in this profession. So
that shows a lot of maturity on your behalf, Coach, because most young men at that age, they always think they're going to be playing at the high level or playing at the NBA or playing for money one day. But early on, you decided, hey, and you made the comment to me that you knew more about the game than your overall ability. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I could see two passes ahead. I knew what was getting ready to happen. I knew the schematics. My body just wasn't going to get there. So I said, you know what? I know I'm not going at a high level playing wise. I know I may have a future coaching. So that's really what I wanted to go after, and it's just been a blessing ever since. So.
And when you graduated from East Rutherford, you went to Gardner-Webb, and you graduated in 2015. But along the way, you were able to still follow your passion. And then, of course, in 2016 and 2017, you became a grad assistant under Tim Kraft at Gardner-Webb. Talk about your experience there and what you learned from being a grad assistant at the Division I level that carried over to today.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be sitting here for hours going through everything that I learned from Coach Kraft and the college level, but just how different it is than the high school level. Just how the program operates, how practices operate, how detailed you are in pregame, postgame, how meticulous film study is at the next level, all that goes into it from a schematic standpoint, offense and defense standpoint. And so that was tremendous. So I'm able to take those lessons and that detail that I'd never even knew existed, just being at the high school level before and coming back to the high school level after that, able to try to help translate that, what I learned at the college level to the high school level. Now, obviously, you can't translate everything because you have your guys a lot more at the college level. You're able to put in a little bit more progressions, a little more what you want to do at the high school level. And at the high school level, you got kids that, that they got other stuff going on. They play other sports. They might play 2 or 3 sports. We have a lot of kids in school that play 2 or 3 sports. So basketball is what they do in the winter. But being able to take just the habits of film study, the habits of how to put together these scouting reports, really what to look for on film, how to break teams down, find their strengths, find their weaknesses from a personnel standpoint, from a schematic standpoint, and really apply that to a scouting report. How to approach practice every day, and really how to build relationships with your kids, from not only seeing how the coaches recruited at that level, but once those kids were on campus and committed and a part of the team, how that relationship just continued to build and build, to where it was just a really well-run program. So those lessons I learned at Gardner-Webb were invaluable. So.
Well, one thing for sure, Tim Kraft is a man of faith, and he is as good as person you'll ever want to meet. And
no question.
A genuine and great guy in the business and does things the right way.
Yeah.
And I know when you were a grad assistant at Gardner-Webb, looking at the record, you guys beat some pretty good teams that year.
Yeah.
Y'all beat Clemson and you beat Purdue. So you're going from Gardner-Webb, who's in the Big South. Now you're beating the big guys in the ACC and the Big Ten. What was that like?
Oh, it was insane. It's tremendous. I mean, listen, from Forest City, if people know anything about Forest City, we have about 10 people that live in this town. So you're going from there, and Gardner-Webb, which is a small, Division I school, you're stepping on campus at Purdue, which is just gigantic, and these other schools, Arizona, LSU, and then, going down to the Paradise Gym in the Virgin Islands and playing Clemson. I mean, just an eye-opening experience just in terms of that level of basketball. And to go in there and just to see a couple of days prior, putting the scouting reports together, watching film on them, saying, how are we going to beat these guys? What can we do? Where's their weakness? Where can we get these guys? And seeing a week's worth of practice go into that, and then actually getting on that plane, going down there, and tipping off, and actually, in front of, what were just absolutely packed arenas, and pulling off a win like that was incredible. I mean, the memory of itself will be with you for the rest of your life, but when you pull out a historic win like that, I mean, the locker room post-game is something you remember. You got players crying, you got some coaches tearing up, you're jumping up and down, and it's just something that you'll hold on to the rest of your life. I still have the articles, obviously screenshotted on the phone. I have the newspaper articles from our local paper that cover Gardner-Webb, covering those games. So just an incredible experience. I know something the players are always going to remember, something we'll always remember. Just awesome to pick up wins of that caliber. So.
And the average fan doesn't realize the amount of time that goes in preparation and doing the film. And, for your example, you're sitting there cutting up the film, which takes hours and hours and hours, and you're doing a detailed scouting report on each and every player. Like you said, you're looking at every player off the opposing team, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. It must be gratifying when you, as a grad assistant, you're the one cutting up the film and presenting that scouting report to the coaches, and see that the game plan going in, you're using all that data, and also you see, oh, wow, I see how it works, and we beat this team. And without that preparation, there's no way in the world that a team like Gardner-Webb can beat a Clemson or Purdue.
Yeah, and all the credit goes to the coaches on that. I mean, the coaches put together a lot of stuff. They put all that film work together, and I help with it. But I really, during that game, I'm sitting behind that bench or on that bench, and the players are out there playing. I mean, you can present everything in the world to those players. They got to execute. You're not, at the end of the day, you're not taking any shots, you're not getting any rebounds, you're not doing anything. Those players have got to execute, and they did a master job of doing that. I thought Coach Kraft, Paul Hemrick, who's at Wofford now, Coach Luther, Coach Beasley, who's coaching with the Dayton women's team right now, them putting together what they put together for that Purdue game, for those Clemson games, it's just tremendous, tremendous. And just to see it from a paper aspect and a practice aspect to actually play out right in front of your eyes, in front of so many people, is, it's incredible. And obviously we'll live with the result. I mean, they're pretty good.
Well, in 2017, you got your master's degree at Gardner-Webb, and you had a chance to go back home. You had a chance to be an associate head coach back at East Rutherford in 2017. And that year, it was sort of a mixed year for you because you guys went 29-1, which was the most wins in school history.
Yeah.
But you lost that one game, Coach, and it was in the fourth round. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's probably, people ask what's the most painful experience of your coaching career. My short coaching career, I mean, I just turned 27, but that was definitely it. You see a group of guys that, the year before experienced a season with, barely over 500, first round playoff exit, and they come in the whole off season and put in hours and hours of work, hours of reps, do things the hard way, the right way. Sacrifice a lot of that free time that they have, that other people are, enjoying their summer. They're in the gym working. They have a goal in mind. And you see it pay off during the year. You start 1-0, 2-0, 5-0, 10-0, 20-0. You finish the regular season 23-0. And coincidentally, we won every game that year by double digits. No team outside the first game of the year against Asheville Christian came within single digits of beating us that year. You win your conference regular season, you win conference tournament, you're at 26-0 around there. You go through the playoffs, first, second, third round, you get to the fourth round, you're sitting at 29-0. If you win this game, you're going to be heading to Wake Forest to play in the regionals, and that was our goal. And Forest Hills came in. I think Matt Sides, I think he does a really good job at Forest Hills, and they came in, and it was one of those perfect storms. That'll humble you quick if you ever think that you're too good, or you have things down pat. I think Forest Hills' biggest player that year was maybe 6'3", their highest. When we started 6'5", 6'5", 6'4", and had another 6'5" off the bench. So it was, and just going through the game, I think we had a little bit of a lead at the end of the first quarter. Had a lead at halftime, had a lead at the end of the third quarter. Fourth quarter was a back and forth game. They hit a big three. We missed a 1-and-1 with about 7 seconds to go, and they hit a huge three at the buzzer to tie it, to send it into overtime. And really, when you're playing all these games and you're winning by 20, 25, 30, you're going into overtime. You've not really been tested in that capacity before. You don't have that adversity on your resume like Forest Hills have, or some of these other teams have. So they're going into overtime with us saying, what do we have to lose? We've been in this position before this year. They got 24, 25 wins. They're a really solid program. And that's the first time we had gone to overtime. That's the first time we're going, holy cow, this team can get us. And we came out in overtime. It was a back and forth, and they hit another huge three at the end of overtime, and we had 2 shots to tie it. We had a three that missed. We got the offensive rebound, kicked it out at the buzzer, and shot again and missed again. Wow. So from that point, you got guys that, really heavily laid senior team that are sitting on the floor, they're crying, and just seeing the guys' faces after that game, see all the hard work they put in, everything, just to see, at home, that result, your first loss of the year being in the fourth round, just not a way you want to go out. And you wonder sometimes, you never want to lose. You wonder sometimes if a loss earlier in the year maybe would have helped, or maybe experiencing that one overtime game, or a game where that team had you down in the fourth quarter. Maybe that helps build some adversity, build some experience in that situation. And you think back to that, maybe a loss earlier would have helped us, but you never play to lose, and so we, what a tremendous season. Those guys went on, and they had successful college careers. Some are still playing, some are, still at college just as a student, but what a tremendous year that was. But, one of those memories you look back on, and it really is bittersweet, because you go, wow, what a, people look back at that record and go, wow, it's the best team ever, and then they sit back and go, wow, that's how it ended. So certainly a growing experience and a learning experience.
Well, it must be a great learning experience for you in your youth as a coach, because in 2011, as a senior in high school, you go 27-1, you win a state championship. You're basically your first year out as an associate head coach out of college. So this is
Yeah.
your first year of coaching. You
Yeah.
go 29-0, and then you lose that very last game in the fourth round, and you have that bittersweet moment.
Yeah.
Now, the next season, it was your second year as the associate head coach at East Rutherford, and you went, I think, 19-8. And then that sort of helped prepare you that to take that next step in your coaching career at such a young age.
Yeah.
And you stated the following year, and I think that was in was it 2019, that you became the head coach at Burns High School. But
Yeah.
this wasn't a normal hire. You didn't get hired till what, November?
Yeah. End of October, start of November. Yeah.
So it
And
had to be a little bit tough
yeah.
going into the basketball season in the end of October, coaching a new team. Talk about how difficult that must have been.
Trial by fire. Get a phone call in October and says, "Hey, what do we think about this head coaching job, PE position at Burns High School?" And up to that point, I've been working out all off season with East, getting ready for another big year at East Rutherford. And at 24, it's hard to pass up an opportunity like that at the 3A level. So went and met with Chris White, who's the athletic director over there, and principal and administration, and tremendous opportunity. But excuse me, it was laid out that, hey, it's the end of October. Here we go with, we got tryouts starting up in a few days. Historically, haven't been a winning program. We've only won a couple games in the last few years combined. You don't have much returning in terms of the entire program. So you're going to be starting new, starting fresh. And so it was trial by fire, getting thrown into that. I view as probably the biggest blessing for me, because you're coming in at 24, you're holding tryouts, when a lot of the other schools have been working out with their guys the whole year, the whole off season. They know their rotations, they know what they're going to do, and I don't know the guy standing next to me's name. So we have these tryouts, we make a team, and you got to learn quick, because you got to figure out your personnel quick. And then you're in a conference with really well-coached teams and really talented teams. Kings Mountain, Hunter Huss, Ashbrook, some really good teams in that conference that have some really good players, college players. And so going in, that's really – I left that season completely different than the way I came in. I think these online –
That had to have been a big time learning experience, because here you are at the age of 24, you're going in, you didn't have a chance to take the team to summer team camp, develop that bond and develop the relationship with the kids. And they really didn't know you as a person, and you with your youth coming in. I imagine that had to have been very, very difficult, but it was a great learning experience. And then it helped pave the way for the position that you are now. You're the head coach at Thomas Jefferson. It's a public charter school.
Yeah.
For the listeners out there, explain what the public charter school is.
Yes, and I've had a firsthand experience with this. When I came in, I really didn't know. I had seen so much about charter schools and that hot topic, of charter schools and recruiting, and so I really wanted to know, hey, what are our guidelines here? What are our regulations? Are we a private school? Are we a public school? What are we? And coming in, so I learned pretty quick. You got public schools, you have public charters, and you have private schools. And so we're under the North Carolina High School Athletic Association's governing body. So we abide by the exact same rules as any public school would. The only difference between us and a public school, like when I was at East Rutherford, the students that embodied our school lived right there within in our district, within 8-10 miles. At a public charter, we're a school of choice, so our LEA, we're our own LEA. So you can live within 25 miles of our school and attend our school. Does that mean you can just up and transfer to our school out of nowhere? No. You still have to meet all the transfer guidelines, all the requirements, just like a normal public school would. But the difference is, if we have a kid, if I'm at East Rutherford and a kid moves from Raleigh to Polk County, that kid cannot come to East Rutherford. They can just go to Polk County. If you're at a charter school like ours, and a kid moves from Raleigh to Polk County, they can choose to go attend Polk County, or that's within 25 miles of our school, they can choose to attend a Thomas Jefferson. And so that's where the little bit of a difference comes in. Even though they live about 20 minutes away, they can attend our place. Even though, I can't recruit, we can't recruit, I'd lose my job. If a kid lives within 25 miles of our school and they've moved there, they can either attend the school right there that they're living by, or if there's a charter school within 25 miles of them, they can choose to attend that charter school instead. But again, we ran into where kids think that charter schools are private schools. And even since I've been here in the short time, we've had kids think that we're a private school. So they're just up and trying to leave their high school to come, to Thomas Jefferson to think they're going to be eligible, and they're not. They have to follow all the state guidelines laid out, just like any other public school, if that makes sense.
Right. Now, your first year at Thomas Jefferson, you finished 17-8.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good record for someone basically in your situation. You're really, in all honesty, this is your second full-time job as a head coach. We're not really going to count the one at Burns because you were thrown into the fire in that situation.
Right.
This is a situation that you came in and you had a time to prepare and work with the team. So you had that luxury of, doing the workouts and getting to know the players in advance. Talking about, you're such a young coach and you knew you wanted to get into coaching at an early age. Who's had the biggest impact on you in your early coaching career?
Well, I've been really lucky to be around some really successful coaches that have guided me, mentored me. Coach Levine when I was at East Rutherford, Coach Kraft at Gardner-Webb, and even the assistants there. My parents have been huge in that. No matter what I wanted to do, my first few years coaching as an assistant didn't make any money. You don't make any money. So really, financially supporting me. And so I've been so lucky to be around some really high level coaches and really try to soak, that information in like a sponge. And, all the tidbits you get from Coach Levine, from Coach Kraft, you just pick and choose and say, hey, I really like what we're doing here. I really like what we're doing here. And just taking that time and writing all that down and saying, hey, when I get my program one day, this is how, I really like that idea. And then you see some stuff like, hey, this probably wouldn't fit into how I want to coach in my philosophy. So, just nitpicking from different coaches over the time has been great. And I've been so fortunate really to be under two really, really successful coaches. So there's a lot to nitpick from for those two. And then you take that and then you kind of mix in your own feeling, your own philosophy, your own view on how things are run and X's and O standpoint. And you kind of create your own philosophy based off of that. And so, Coach Levine and Coach Kraft have been awesome for me in terms of a learning standpoint. Coach Levine being a huge motivator and a pretty good X's and O's coach. Coach Kraft being a good motivator and just an amazing X's and O's coach, being able to pick up so much from them. So I've been really fortunate to be around the people I've been around at a young age. So,
like I said, I know Tim Kraft very well, and he's as good as they come.
Definitely.
Early on, Coach, what's the biggest challenge you have faced so far in just a short period of time?
Yeah. Well, coming in, you're young, and the players know you're young. And so they're going, wait a minute, this guy's 8 years older than I am, 9 years older than I am. So what does he know? What does he know about basketball, right? And so you have to take that time and you really have to build a relationship with him. And you have to tiptoe that line of, hey, I can't be your best friend, but I'm not going to be the strict disciplinarian at the same time. We're going to find a happy medium to where I can teach you what I know. We can come together and we can achieve whatever goals you are. And every player I've coached has a different goal. Some are to play at the next level. Some are really content. They want to play. They want to be a good high school player, and they have aspirations beyond high school that don't involve basketball. And that's different for every player. But really coming in and establishing that relationship with those players, and when that light clicks on their head, like, whoa, this guy knows what he's talking about. All right. And then generating that buy-in and then translating that buy-in into a system and a culture, and then seeing those, that culture and that system produce on the court. during the regular season. So, you got that, and just trying to come in and build. This was my first year at Thomas Jefferson. I have not been somewhere a long period of time. I'm hoping this will be a long-term destination for me. And so really now attacking the feeder systems, our middle school teams, our youth teams, really trying to put coaches in the right places there that try to teach the fundamentals, man-to-man, what we really emphasize at the high school level, and trying to start that culture at a young age, where I'm at. And that way, once they get up to us at the high school level, they've been taught and they know, what we expect as a staff, and generate that whole school buy-in, all the way down from high school down.
I was going to ask you, how would you describe a Stephen Jones team? You just explained it to me very well. But if I'm a young player, and like you said before with your youth, and you're saying, okay, I'm a young player coming into your practice or tryouts for the very first time, and I'm a young 16-year-old. I'm looking at you. What's your message to me as a player?
Yeah. My philosophy is, listen, you're going to leave my program as good as you want to be. If it's not a dead period, our gym is open, and we are doing workouts, we're shooting. It can be individual, it can be team workouts, whatever it may be. I always tell my guys, you're going to be here, and all of you have different expectations and wants and needs for how good you want to be. Some of you want to play at that next level. Some have aspirations to play pro, overseas, whatever it may be. Some don't, and that's okay. I knew I wasn't going to play at the next level. So when you come to my program, I want you to know you will leave this program the best you can be. And I always tell my guys that this gym is going to be open 5 days a week during the week. When it's not a dead period, for you to come in here and work out, I will stay here 2, 3, 4 hours if I need to. Rebounding, us getting shots up, me walking you through film, breaking down film, clipping it up so you can see, game scenarios. And I really leave that up to my guys, how in-depth they want to get with it. You have guys that will come every single day, and they'll be in that gym every single day. And those are the ones that really want to achieve a high level of basketball after high school. And you have some that go, hey, coach, I want to be really successful at the high school level. I want to win a state championship. I particularly don't think I'm going to play college basketball, but I'm still going to come maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, because I do want to help my team win a state championship. I do want to be a good high school player. So I always try to tell my guys the first time I meet them, you're going to leave this program as good as you want to be. I don't want to put any handicaps on your development. You're going to have every opportunity to develop here. You kind of control, outside of our mandatory practice during the season and everything, how good you can be. So guys really buy into that. And you see that once those serious guys are coming 5 days a week, you see those other guys start to say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna hop on that train with them. And they start doing it as well. And before you know it, you got a whole program that are, they're in the gym, you're almost having to kick them out. So doing that and trying to keep things fun, trying to set records for your team in the off season, some shooting records that they, kids are competitive. They want their name on that whiteboard in the gym, that they have, the most threes made in a 2-minute, in this drill. So they're all going at each other, and these kids are getting up 200 shots trying to break each other's record in these drills. Otherwise, they may have had no motivation to go shoot that day. So trying to mix in some things to keep them in the gym and really emphasize to them, guys, you control your future. You control how good you want to be. I'll be here every day. There's no stop sign or handicaps on how good you can be. You'll control that. And doing that so far, the kids have been just tremendous buying into that and spending a lot of time in the gym.
Well, it's most certainly noted that, if the players see the commitment by the head coach, which they're seeing, you're going to build that trust and relationship very quickly. And it looks like you achieved that last year with the impressive record of 17-8. Now, you said you were born to coach pretty much. You decided at an early age you wanted to coach, and you do coach all the time because your full-time job is coaching at Thomas Jefferson, but you're also during the summer, you also coach the 16 and under pro skills team.
Yeah.
Talk about the difference between the coaching philosophy you may have coaching at the travel ball level versus the high school level.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it changes a little bit, and some stays the same. What's different in high school is, and the biggest thing, especially at the higher level AAU programs, I'm fortunate to coach with pro skills. We have some really talented players and a really talented organization with good coaches and good players. But, you come in and now all of a sudden when you go from a high school team where you have one or two, maybe for real good, you have three standout players and you have some role players and you have some guys that do this and that. Now you have a team that comes together in the summer, and I'm looking at 9 or 10 guys, and they're all the best player at their high school team. So now you go from emphasizing, culture and building this program and binding the roles. Now you're having to tell these travel ball guys, hey guys, at your high school, you may be the primary scorer. You're the primary shot taker. Maybe a good shot at your high school is no longer a good shot in AAU because you have 4 other guys on the court with you that can fill it up. They're all the best player at their high school. So really, you want to spend those first, couple of weeks at AAU really, letting these players mesh, getting a feel for each other, because, you got, I coach guys from 9 different high schools. So, they're not used to playing with each other. They come in and they all have really, really defined strengths, and they have weaknesses. And so they got to, you really got to, I think, put practices together that really allow the guys to feel each other out in terms of their strengths, weaknesses, where they're going to be at certain times, what kind of shots they're looking for. And, it's always a buy-in factor in a different light in travel ball that, hey, okay, I'm no longer this guy that has to shoot 25 times. That contested mid-range shot in high school that my coach wants me to take because me taking that shot's better than this other guy taking it. Now that's a bad shot on our AAU team, because now we can kick that ball around. We got a 43% three-point shooter that you're not used to playing with wide open in the corner. So really emphasizing that change of kind of, their thought process when it relates to that. And then, you have to start over in terms of establishing trust to these players, because these guys a lot of times don't know you real well. You don't have that everyday connection with them like you do your high school players. So really trying to tell them, hey, here's my philosophy, here's my thought process. Your goal is to win a state championship at your high school. We're together these few months out of the year to better your development, to help you reach that goal, but also to get you some exposure, because, a lot of their goals is to play at the next level. So we have to buy in for each other so we can all get there. So philosophy changes a little bit. The ideology changes a little bit, but, you're preaching a lot of the same things on both.
That's good stuff, Coach. Winding this thing down, you've been a head coach for a short period of time. What's been your most memorable moment, that one outstanding moment that just stands in the back of your mind?
Oh, got a few, and it's hard to choose, but I think my first win was probably it, because you start out and I'm going, we started out at Burns, we lost our first few games, heck, I'd only been at school a few weeks, so we're playing games, and you're going, oh, man, I'm 24. Am I cut out for this? Am I going to be, we won all these games when I was an assistant and here and there. I've never been a head coach. Am I cut out for this job? And then you get your first win, and you go, you know what? This is okay. This ain't too bad. So, getting that first win and getting back on the bus, and you taking that first breath and go, you know what? We can do this. And then, there's no better night than the night you win a basketball game.
First win is always the most important one, isn't it?
That's exactly right. And getting that under your belt, you feel a lot better. Like, all right, we can do this. We can make this happen. So after that first win, I think, your confidence starts to build as a coach. Your players' confidence, especially your young guys, they start to build. And I think it's all up from there.
Either as a player or as a coach, what's been the biggest teaching moment?
Yeah, a lot. I'd say relationship building. I think my biggest mistake coming in when I was younger is it was all about wins and losses. You wanted that resume to look good. And so it was win at all costs. It was, we're practicing to win. Even if you won and things weren't great, then, hey, a win's a win. And that was a mistake. It's not all about winning. Then I really found where it takes, once those first few guys come back from the college level and go, hey, coach, I had a player off that 29-1 team that came back from college. He was playing college basketball over Christmas break back to us while we were holding a practice. And said, Coach, he brought me aside and said, I just want to thank you because you did way more for me than basketball. At that time, I was struggling. I didn't tell anybody I was struggling. And, you did a lot for me during that time. And that's not talking anything about basketball. And it really takes something like that to hit you to go, whoa, this is not all wins and losses. There's a lot more to it. It's building relationships. So
I think that's a really great answer. I think the relationships is important, is not just that you're teaching the X's and O's, but you're teaching and coaching the game of life to these young men when they're at that age where they're at that very vulnerable age where, you can make a huge impact in their life the next 40 years. And I know when I was growing up, it was always that thing is you always remembered who your high school coach was.
Yeah.
I mean, you never forgot your high school coach. And I think that's the thing in your youth, and you've already figured it out, is a relationship and developing the culture at Thomas Jefferson. But, Coach, I've watched you. You've been with Pro Skills. You've been to a few of our events at the travel ball side. And, you conduct yourself in a very professional mannerism. And I love your passion, and you're like a sponge. You want to absorb as much information and knowledge as you possibly can to become the best coach you can be. And I think you're going to be a star on the rise. And we want to say thank you for coming on today, and we appreciate it. And we wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for you guys at Phenom for providing a platform for me as a coach, our high school guys, our AAU guys, just all the exposure they get, the lessons they learn at you guys' camps is just incredible. So, I'm sure, I know I'm not the first person to say that, and I know I can probably speak for thousands when I say that, but thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.